Hey everybody. Well, this is it. This is our last video in this series on joyful practicing. Before we jump in, we at the IM group would really love to hear from you. Please let us know on our Facebook or our Instagram what you found most interesting or most helpful in these videos. And if you like, share what kind of series you'd like to get into this year, if you can think of something you'd really like to hear about. Also, get ready because our next series is going to be a deep dive into a new and really fascinating tool, the practice map. If you've never heard of it, you're really going to want to. We're going to get deep into how to help your students learn each part of this map so that they can direct themselves in their practicing and become incredibly self-motivated and ready to go students in your classroom. You won't want to miss it. And of course, be sure to share our info with any friends you think might be interested in that series. Okay, moving on. It's so important that we address the objections our students have to joy during their practice. Last week, we covered the explicit, meaning the plainly stated objections that students generally have. But those aren't the most common objections that we're going to get from our students. More often, students won't tell us directly what they're bothered by. Far more often, they will communicate very clearly their objections implicitly. So without words, but very much with their body language and their vocal tones. So let's get right into it. All right, let's get started. Ready? 1, 2, 3, go. All right, guys, this objection clearly communicates what? Well, first, I'm seeing fear in the darting glance. I'm seeing tension in the face, and check it out. They aren't eagerly touching their instruments. Their hands pull away. This really only means one thing. They are anticipating that they are about to fail. So, said another way, they are scared of failing. So what is the fear here? Let's dig into this. If you ask a student the question, what will happen if you make a mistake? They'll probably be like, I'll make a mistake. But if you get deep, you will probably get some sort of answer like, I'll be embarrassed, or someone might laugh, or even you might get mad. So what is at the core of all of those? It's fear of rejection. And guys, let's not downplay the emotional effects of rejection. Rejection is a very serious thing. And even for younger children, it's set up in the brain as a survival issue. Young children literally cannot survive without the constant support of their parents and the other people in their lives. They can't feed themselves. They can't provide for themselves. They can't transport themselves. Without the secure acceptance and love of the people around them, their midbrains are telling them that they are in survival level peril. For older students, it's interesting. Rejection actually hits as a death. In psychology, it's called social death, which you can read more about in the article that we've linked in this video. Social death or ostracism is painful enough that it affects how students make many decisions about what they will and won't do, and how they do things, and with whom they do things. So, if you want to make it safe to make mistakes in your classroom, and I suggest you do, here's a few things you can do. First, normalize mistakes by making them communal. The fastest and most effective way to do this is by starting a difficult piece of music by asking, who in here has really messed up this part of the music when they were playing it? And get a show of hands. This allows students to look around the room and see that they aren't alone. So second, make sure your students know that you win at mistakes. So I will often say in classes, all right, we're going to try this out. It's a little rough and you might make mistakes, but just so you know, I win at mistakes. I just do. No, none of you in here will even get close to making more mistakes than I have made. I always will win at mistakes. So next, third, create a mantra for your students to say together. My personal favorite is, sometimes you win, sometimes you learn. Before you play whatever it is that you're going to play, have all of your students say this with you. So fourth, once your students have played or sung a section, ask them to think to themselves the specific thing that was tricky for them. Point out the part that you think was probably tricky then, and this is super important, you should laugh at something you did wrong. So if you missed a high note or conducted incorrectly or something like that, let out a big chuckle about it while you tell your students about it. You're going to be teaching joyful practice kind of by osmosis this way. Let's try it again. 1, 2, 3, go. Teacher, this is all you. While I've had you do a lot of talking up till now, this is where you want to cut the words and start getting to work. You are now going to do a lot of implicit communication yourself. Specifically, you're going to communicate energy. Because what is your student communicating here? They're communicating a total lack of energy. So start doing smaller sections of music faster. Between attempts, don't talk. Just get energetic and say, okay, again. If they mess up big, shake your head like you're shaking it off and say, okay, we got this. Let's go again. If something seems like it went better, ask your students, did that feel easier? Don't necessarily be like, great job, great job. Just, did that feel easier? If they nod, give them a nod in return, a real big one and a big smile. Yeah, it did. Once attempts at small sections are going really well, get jacked. Like if you get it 5 times in a row, woo, or heck yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Yes, yes, like positive aggression. This is an amazing way, by the way, to kill a nest full of birds with one stone. So first, you're teaching your students to notice their own wins, as in, did that get easier? Second, you're injecting joy into boredom and teaching your students how to do that by osmosis. So said another way, they're learning how to be happy with work by watching you jump quickly back on the horse after a failure. They're also seeing big joy normalized during hard work, which is probably something they haven't seen. Okay, when you're done with this, let's slaughter one more bird by being explicit with your students. Tell them, I know you were bored a bit ago. Did you notice you're not bored anymore? When you've got the answers, ask a few students, what can you take home in your practice from what we did today? One more time, we got this. All right, 1, 2, 3. Guys, this likely means that students feel like their practice will never end. Guess what the best tool for that is? The practice map. Okay, so we're going to get into it just a little bit here, but here's what we're going to do. You're going to say, hey, before we keep going, I want to show you something. I think you're right here. So right here. You are in the part of practicing where it feels like it will never be done and it's not getting better. But look, you're so close to where it's good. Look at this. If you go just a little bit longer, you're going to monster this. So let's get at it. All right, guys, I've enjoyed myself so much during this series. Thank you, all of you who commented on our videos and shared them around. It makes such a huge difference. So after the Christmas break, we'll be starting new groups in January, so keep an eye out for signups. They have been so great so far. I will also be at many of the NAFME conferences this winter. I think we'll talk about that in the next video. So if you're planning to attend conferences in Indiana, Michigan, South Carolina, NAFME, All Northwest, and actually Virginia first, come and visit me at the GIA booth. And always, if I'm already coming your direction and you'd like me to make a quick trip to your school district or your university, get a hold of me at admin@iamschoolofmusic.com. Guys, this is my full-time job, speaking and writing, so I am happy to make something happen. See you in our next video.